Welcome back to the Richie X Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, here with my guys, Mr. Mike Zappy, Window 2, Window 3, Mr. Brett Bandick, Window 4, Mr. Idris Salam. Tonight, we are going to be hitting on the NBA draft takeaways. We've got some player movement headlined by CP3 to Zappy's Golden State Warriors. We're also going to hit you with our all-time power forward rankings, as well as my favorite segment, Start Bench Cut. Woo, good to be back. Good to be back. Zappy, what are your thoughts, man? Chris Paul is now a member of your team, the Golden State Warriors.
You know, I think there's a lot of things that people are looking at the Warriors, and I think we're seeing the Warriors saying, we're not done yet. We saw how Jordan Poole disappeared in the playoffs last year, and this is all going back to before the season started with him and Draymond Green and the altercation that took place. We see Draymond opted out. This was clearly a move to tell Draymond Green, we want you to stay, so we're going to move on from Jordan Poole, because I don't think that was ever, first of all. The only thing I don't like about it is it looks like the Warriors are going to get older, so now you're trading away your youth. Jonathan Kuminga is still a Warrior, so I'm happy about that, but I don't think he will be when the season starts. I still think he's on his way out, maybe as well as Moses Moody. The Warriors, I think, helps them because you look at the fourth quarter lineup, assuming Draymond does come back, it's going to be Chris Paul at the 1, Steph at 2, Clay at 3, Andrew Wiggins at 4, and then Draymond at 5. It's a smaller lineup, but it allows you to spread the floor, and in most cases in the fourth quarter, most teams are going smaller anyways. So I do like that part of it. I also like the part that if Chris Paul is coming off the bench, I think that's going to help prolong his career another year, maybe 2. He can't be starting anymore. We've seen that time and time again.
No, it helped Derrick Rose prolong his career, so I agree with you on that.
So yeah, I like the trade. I think it was a good trade. The Warriors did give up quite a bit to accommodate this trade, not only with Jordan Poole, but then with also multiple draft picks and stuff. But I think it's the right mentality because you're bringing in that veteran leadership that Chris Paul presents, and you already have Steph Curry in the locker room anyway, so you're not bringing a cancer. If anything, you're going to bring someone that's going to bring that locker room together even more.
I'm thinking if there's something different that I could add that you didn't already cover. Okay, I'll play devil's advocate. The one thing that isn't good, it does make your team older. I agree with that part. In terms of going small in the fourth, it is a growing trend. But one thing that I don't like about what you guys did this year in the playoffs, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. I do think that what would balance out this roster to perfection, you got to get at least one more guy that plays the game comparably to a Draymond Green. And what I mean by that is just not afraid to get dirty, get those tough rebounds, deliver the tough fouls. And even if sometimes it means getting kicked out of a game to make a statement.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I love Kevon Looney as our center. The guy, especially if we look at him in the finals last year, in the playoffs this year, the guy loves to be in the paint. But they still need someone else. And that's why I don't think the Warriors are done. Could it be a Joel Embiid, maybe? Could it be what's his name from the Heat that I was a fan of for a while? So I mean,
damn.
Yeah, Adebayo, thank you.
Damn.
So I don't think the Warriors are done because, yes, I 100% agree. That is the thing that hurt them against the Lakers was the Lakers' size. And, we saw it time and time again that, well, yeah, you could spread the floor, but if that 3 was not falling, you were done. And so they need that guy to be able to go in there and battle with an Anthony Davis. So I just think the Warriors are going to get somebody. But then even what I did like about tonight, though, is transitioning to the draft is I like the pick that the Warriors made. And he's a guy that he's going to come in. He's a sponge. We're talking about Brandon. I don't know how to say his name correctly. Yeah. It's Podizensky or something like that. He's from UC, so he's right down the road from the Warriors where they play. So here's a guy that's familiar with the team, and the Warriors are familiar with him. He's a guy that can shoot the ball, distribute the ball, and he can rebound the ball. So that's what I do like about this. They traded Jordan Poole. They bring in a veteran, but then they also drafted a nice young guy who is very comparable to, think of like an Andre Iguodala. at a later part.
Yeah,
of his career,
Iggy was huge for your franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I one thing that we haven't hit on yet, it's kind of like the obvious elephant in the room. I also think a motivation for this trade was the sheer fact that this dude got snuffed last season in the beginning of the year, before the year started, by Draymond Green, and also was kind of chirping in a negative direction towards the most valuable player of that team, the great Steph Curry. Bretsky, what are your thoughts on that dynamic of, having a guy that I wouldn't call him a cancer, but at minimum troublesome in that locker room that they moved on from today?
Yeah, no, he went to the Wizards. I think it's a great trade for Golden State. Steve Kerr knows this shit.
Yes, he does.
I think it's a solid trade, and I think at the end of the day, I still think both teams win, because not only do the Wizards get a young, talented player, they're getting all those draft picks to go along with it.
Yeah, and they're in rebuild mode. I mean, we just saw them trade
100%.
Bradley
100%.
Beal too. So
I'm completely okay with that. I think it's a great trade for the NBA. And I think we'll see what Chris Paul has left in the tank. My biggest thing is Middleton out of the Bucks. He was offered $40 million on an extended contract, and he refused. So he's going to be a free agent this year. If Golden State needs anybody, it's him. Granted, I doubt they're going to sign him, but if they need anybody, it's him.
I respectfully disagree for one reason. They need to get more height and length, not continue to be small. Go ahead, Idris. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think with Chris Paul, he's going to take a load off of Steph, because now you have a guy in Paul who can shoot, he can score also.
For sure.
But Chris Paul that's why they call him the point guard, because he's looking to dish, and now Steph can move around the court. Clay can move around the court. Draymond can move around the court. Everyone can move around the court.
It takes a little responsibility away.
Because this guy has eyes all around his head, and he's always looking for the open man. And see,
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
You have to put a man on him, because he's that type of floor general.
And that is such a great point, because that was one of the things that hurt the Warriors. Is we all know Clay is one of the best off-the-ball players in the NBA and NBA history. Steph Curry is a great off-the-ball player as well. He's a great point guard. But when he does not have to control that ball in his hand, he does great. But what hurt the Warriors in the playoffs was Jordan Poole turned into that guy that I got to pop it for three. Chris Paul won't do that. His first job is always to distribute. And not only that, he's a great creator too. So, yeah, that is a very, very solid point right there. I love the trade. I love it.
And I think with Paul can score if you need him to score. But like I said, he's looking to say, I need you to score. He's trying to get you the ball so you can score. He's penetrating. Yeah. And see, with Steph doesn't have to come up the court with the ball and penetrate and dish. He got a man who's coming straight down the lane. And, he's going to whatever.
Yeah. My biggest concern, it's not even really concern because of Steve Kerr. If they can manage Chris Paul's minutes late this season going into the playoff push, then Chris Paul can do some damage.
Oh yeah,
what I mean? So it's just but they have to manage his minutes. He has to do that.
Chris Paul could look more like the Hornets or Clippers version.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
The other thing too is we can't forget that the Warriors made a trade that I thought was very, very important in going and acquiring Gary Payton II. He's a guy. He's back with the Warriors. So that not only do you have Chris Paul, who's going to take a lot of the heat off of Steph, but then you have Gary Payton, who's going to take a lot of heat off of both of them because he can play those extended minutes. So they're in a good position.
It's a great trade at the end of the day for the Warriors. Great trade.
He's got the heart of a lion, similar to his dad. He's got that pedigree up here, the toughness.
But for the Wizards, I don't think. I mean, they got a lot of picks, but like I said, they're rebuilding.
Oh yeah,
Jordan Poole. We saw Jordan. We saw enough of Jordan Poole. We seen enough of him. He's a head case.
Mm-hmm.
He has a big mind. You know, you have those organizations that are tight knit. San Antonio is another one.
Yes,
you know, Golden State. These are organizations like with family. Look now, Denver's the same way now with family, and you're not going to break up our cohesiveness.
You know what's interesting, Idris?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? You revisit The Last Dance. You talk about head coach Steve Kerr. Mm-hmm. He was the victim of getting snuffed out by the great Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan Poole gets snuffed out by a team that Steve Kerr is coaching by Draymond Green, according to himself, the greatest defensive player ever. But still, he is a great of his era. I will give him that that he has earned. But this is the point.
He's the heart.
Steve Kerr knows how to navigate around these kind of potential cancerous situations because he saw Phil Jackson deal with this shit.
Right.
For Michael Jordan to get kicked out of practice basically proved in Phil Jackson's days that no man was bigger than the team. And to Mike's credit, I think it actually helped him develop a better relationship with not only Steve, but with the rest of his teammates. Because if you revisit that particular season when that went down, Steve made the shot that ended the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and then that was the year before the actual Last Dance, which was the 98 run. But I think Steve is the perfect guy for the job because he's been exposed to it.
Like he said during the parade ceremony, they drew the play up, and he was like, "All right, fine, I'll bail you out again, Jordan."
Yeah. That was pretty.
That was funny.
That was funny.
And you know, the thing about it with Golden State, you know, Draymond is Draymond. What he does on the court, everyone knows. He could be a little dirty, whatever. But in terms of the team falling apart, you never heard that until Jordan Poole got there.
No, yeah,
until he got his shine. Then he felt like taking 35-foot shots and clanking them like what's his name for the Lakers did it some years ago. Thought he made the shot and turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to be. He forgot. This is Steph's team. This is not your team yet.
No shit.
You were the heir apparent. You still have to respect the man. But he didn't want. He had to go.
And we also saw it with KD. We saw everything going on between Draymond and KD.
Draymond couldn't stand him.
No, he couldn't because Draymond is a team guy.
Yeah,
he was like that at Michigan State. I guarantee Tom Izzo would be the first one to say Draymond cares more about the team and winning than your personal accolades. Yeah.
In that regard, he's similar to one of the men that's going to be on our list later. Talking about number 91 as well as number 10, depending on what team you're talking about, Mr. Dennis Rodman. Say what you want about Rodman. When he bought in to something, and this is why the Steve Kerr analogy is so funny yet again. He played with Dennis Rodman. Now he coaches Draymond Green.
Right.
Personality-wise, at least basketball-related, they are very similar creatures. Off the court, Rodman was on a different planet.
Rodman was a whole different.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think he's like two guys myself. I think he's like Rodman, and I think he's like a guy who I believe should be in top 10. We'll talk about Carolina. One of my favorite players, that's Rasheed Wallace. You know, and I think Draymond and Rasheed play very similar. You know, so that's why I love Draymond, because I love what he brings to the court. I love that he's the guy that's willing to get that technical, get kicked out of the game, knowing it's going to spark his team.
It's going to get the team pumped. Yeah, exactly.
He's what
he knows it.
Wow. Like Steph is the heart. He is the heart and soul of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Draymond is the heartbeat of that team.
No doubt.
You know, that's just what it is. So I think
Poole had to
come back. Yeah, he had to go.
Poole had to go.
Now, Zach,
sir.
You spoke about obviously your favorite basketball team, but before we move it along to our player rankings, we definitely have to hit on the atmosphere that is in San Antonio with the one pick. Feel free to elaborate because you live there and you've seen it with your own eyes, the way these people were reacting when they first hit the lottery, and obviously now tonight it comes to fruition with the pick.
I mean, it's the vibe today in San Antonio leading up to 8 o'clock Eastern, leading up to Adam Silver announcing the Spurs on the clock was like everyone was drinking, having a good time, just like 1987, they get David Robinson. And then 1997, they get Tim Duncan. They get, and then we fast forward 26 years, and here they are getting Victor Wembanyama. And I mean, gosh, it is unbelievable because you look at this city, and this is the city that almost deserves that. And when you really break it down and you look at every NBA team, the Spurs, you can't hate on them. One of the most organization. It's a great organization because they like Popovich doesn't stand for stupidity for one. The only problem with him was he got too involved with politics, and people were kind of getting annoyed by him. Like, all right, man, like let's keep it to sports. But for this Spurs to land Victor Wembanyama, which we all knew that would have been the shocker of the century if they would have passed on him. I mean,
you can't pass on a guy like that.
No, you cannot. And it's crazy because you see the Spurs. You see the Spurs now, and it sounds like Popovich is not going anywhere for a while. Which we talked about Steve Kerr as the possible replacement, if that might happen. But no, what a great day to be in San Antonio today. Just to see the city come together and celebrate. And then what's crazy is I spoke to a woman that I did not know she knew anything about basketball, and here she was talking about it, and I'm just like, wow. Like, she's like, oh my God, like what this guy has done to the city, the fans know that this is the change the city had needed, which they're not too far removed from being the 5-time NBA champs with a Manu, a Tony Parker, Timmy Duncan, and so on and so forth.
Got to give a shout out to a very forgotten Spur, Avery Johnson, who sunk the shot in Madison Square Garden that deaded the 99 Knicks. He was replaced by Parker. Parker had the better Spurs career. But shout out Avery Johnson. That dude was a gamer. And it was like a long road to get to the peak. And I'm all kinds of salty about 99 because I always say to myself, man, oh man, what would have happened if Patrick Ewing didn't tear his Achilles in the Eastern Conference Finals and if Latrell Sprewell wasn't playing with a broken metatarsal during that series? The Knicks kept all those games close. We'll never know. It didn't happen. But shout out to Avery Johnson. Got to give him his roses because that dude was an overachiever.
You know, an unsung player of San Antonio I liked Sean Elliott.
Sean Elliott was good, dude.
I love Sean Elliott.
And he went through a lot. He went through an awful lot.
He went through a lot.
Let me tell you, he is a hero in this city. The people love him here, and that's the crazy. That's what I love about living in San Antonio too. Is these fans love their NBA team.
I ain't gonna lie. Every time I go to San Antonio, I love it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a great.
I love that city.
I
love that city, man.
It's just like I said.
You guys remember the old school Alamo?
Yeah, the Alamo.
Oh my God, dude, the Alamo.
Yeah, and it's still there. Alamo Dome is still there. That's where the XFL is played. That's where the Alamo Bowl is played.
There's just a lot of history, and it's just it's great. It's great for the city.
One other guy that needs to get a couple of roses as a Spur. Not many people even remember him as a Spur.
Billy Pauls.
That's taking it back. I was going to go not that far.
Okay.
The last guy to wear 21 prior to Tim Duncan, I'm talking about Dominique Wilkins. He was only there for a short while.
Yeah.
He was on that horrific team when David Robinson tore his Achilles and everything went haywire, but it allowed them to get the number one pick, which ultimately was Tim Duncan. The reason why I bring up Dominique Wilkins, and I love Neek, and I think he beat Jordan in the dunk contest. I think he got gypped.
Yeah, he got gypped.
He sure did, but it was in Chicago Stadium.
Yeah,
the point is, the reason I'm giving this guy some roses is because the Spurs did the professional tank. They were like, Neek, go out there as an old man and bang on their heads, enjoy yourself, play all the minutes you want, but we're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah. That's what they did with Wembanyama. They got him too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too because the Spurs didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, Houston believed it was going to be them. They had the worst record. Houston, and that's why it's crazy. Then you look at the
Orlando Magic, dude. Ask the Orlando Magic. 2 years in a row, they had the least probability to land the one ball, and they got Shaq and Penny in back-to-back years.
Houston didn't deserve Wembanyama.
Nah,
no, I don't think so.
They deserve James Harden. Send him back.
Yeah, they don't deserve
Hey,
Wembanyama.
but you got to give credit too, though. This organization has drafted 3 of the best players to ever come out of France: Tony Parker, Boris Diaw. I don't care what anybody says. He was a great player for France.
Very
good shout out.
And then and now you got Victor Wembanyama. I mean, this team. Hey, as my buddy Matt said earlier today, French food is about to spike drastically in San Antonio because he's not going anywhere for a long time.
Hey, Tony Parker's going to be in his ear like, hey,
go ahead. But I will say, just while the Spurs, obviously they hit a home run tonight, I thought the draft, especially the first 5 picks, we saw some history. Scoot Henderson was the big one. Everyone was wondering where is he going to go. I thought he would have gone better with Portland to team him up with Dame. He falls to Portland. I thought that was shocking.
That's like maybe that could keep Dame happy.
But he's there now. Yeah. So that's the thing. And then Brandon Miller was the one that surprised me. Brandon Miller made a statement that while he was with Charlotte doing his practice, him and Jordan kind of had something go on, and he claims Jordan airballed the free throw.
Yeah.
I don't believe it, but I think that's what got him going to Charlotte because Jordan loves challenges like that. Brandon Miller seemed like he fit there. As far as history, though, before the Morris brothers got drafted in back-to-back draft picks in the same year, we had the Lopez brothers also get drafted the same year.
Yes, Brooke and Robin.
Yep. Yeah, but it was great tonight. We saw Amen and Ansar Thompson both go number 4 and 5. So not only did we see twins get drafted in the same draft, but this is the first time we've seen twins get drafted in the lottery.
Shout out,
what I thought was awesome.
Shout out Brooke Lopez for nothing related to this, but one of Idris's truly wonderful friends in the Twitter world, Mr. Kevin Durant. I'm taking it back 2 years, pandemic season, where he just like put that right on the glass.
Yeah.
And then KD being just, the phenomenal player that he is, decided to step on the 3-point line. The rest is history. I don't care how you feel or about your sensitivities. Before we move it along to our top 10 power forward list, I want to hit on my favorite segment, Start Bench Cut. Potential round 2, depending on how you guys perform in round 1. And I love that I don't have to compete against you guys. Start Bench Cut. Best draft day trade steal. Scottie Pippen going to the Chicago Bulls, originally drafted by the Seattle Supersonics for Olden Polonese. The Sonics had the audacity to send Pippen away. Kobe Bryant for Vlade Divac. Kobe was drafted by the Hornets.
Yep.
Divac was a rookie for the Lakers. He was actually the first center after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Godfather.
Penny Hardaway. Yeah, godfather of the flop. Shout out LeBron James. And Penny Hardaway for Chris Webber. Okay. Start bench cut, gentlemen. I'm going to start with you, Bretsky.
Yeah, you would.
Damn right I would. Start bench cut. What's the worst one of the 3? What's the best one? What are you cutting, keeping? Let's go.
I am cutting. Ooh, man.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna cut the Penny Hardaway trade. Only because they never won any championships together. Yes,
fair.
They beat.
Fair.
It's just
fair.
It is what it is. I'm gonna bench Scotty. Just because of his recent accolades against Michael Jordan.
Accolades?
Yeah, I'm gonna say accolades. I don't like what's going on with Scotty. The guy's on too much drugs. I don't like what's happening there.
I'll tell you what reason why, but go ahead.
Yeah,
it's a little more than that.
It's a little more than that.
I know. That's a whole nother topic. I'm gonna bench Scotty. I'm gonna start Kobe.
Mr. Biggs and R. Kelly would be able to do that, but R. Kelly ain't able to do anything right now. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, wow. No, I'm gonna start Kobe. He's got the 5 chips. That's kind of hard to go against for Vlade. Yeah, and he's Vladdy's an all-time Laker in my book. But
he
so is
gets
Kobe.
buried. He gets buried on the depth chart because of the fact that they had
He does, just
they had
because
so
of the
many
amount of
great
people that
centers.
the Lakers had.
There's so many great centers, but Vladdy played his part. He was good.
No, he was good. He was good. I actually liked him when he played with Sacramento too.
He was a better player with Sacramento.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of hard to not start Kobe in this circumstance.
All right,
especially
so
with Scotty.
You are starting Kobe for Vladdy as the best trade/steal. You are benching Scotty for Olden Polynice, and you are getting rid of Weber and Penny.
Yes.
Heard that. Mr. Salam, do you agree with Brett? Do you have anything to add or anything to go against him with?
I agree with it, but I got it for these reasons. Okay, Penny and Chris, neither won a championship. Penny couldn't stay healthy. Great player, couldn't stay healthy. Chris Webber, I think they got robbed against the Lakers.
They certainly did. Vladdy contributed to that when he slapped.
That was Vladdy, yeah.
Murray.
With the Pippen, the Olden Polynice, Scotty did win 6 chips with Jordan.
Indeed.
But when Jordan left, he couldn't deliver. When he went to Portland, they were good for 1 year. The next year, Portland went down.
And who beat him? Kobe and Shaq.
He went to Houston.
That was a shit show in Houston.
Yeah.
Good show. With Barkley too, right? With Barkley.
Yeah. And see,
wrong time in their lives.
The Pippen issue is more than just the last.
Shout out Bobby D.
The Pippen issue is because Jordan's son is dating Pippen's ex-wife. That's why he's mad.
And Idris, can you elaborate to the viewers about what she was awarded?
A lie.
Let's just say
Debuscherre.
Yeah, now she's living Debuscherre.
Debuscherre.
God damn, bro.
She got Pippen shit.
I thought his NBA deal was getting railroaded. Hold my beer.
Like Eddie Murphy said in Raw, half, Scotty, half.
Oh my.
To where, so now Scotty's pissed. First he got this
just a little. Just a little.
Jordan's son is smashing his ex-wife, and now she got half his money. So he don't like Jordan. Now with Kobe and Divac, I think that was a good trade for the Lakers because we've seen what Kobe did. Even after Shaq left, Kobe had a whole different team. Basically, took him to 3 straight finals, won 2 of them. So I think even with Divac going to, he went to Charlotte. He's got a good career though.
That was a weird team because he actually linked up with Anthony Mason there because Mason got traded straight up for LJ.
For LJ, yep.
That's right.
Yep. But I'm with the same thing with Gretzky saying. But that's why Scotty's mad, Brett. He can't.
And the Last Dance, I'm sure.
There's a lot of reasons why Scotty's mad.
I think the Last Dance started it.
He also accused Jordan. He also accused Jordan of stealing his wife. So it is what it is.
Mr. Zappy, anything to add to this? We're going to have a round 2.
All right, well, so hold on. Is it the best draft day trade or best draft day steal trade?
Well, it depends. Obviously, we know who the beneficiaries are. So it's all to the perception. It's all to the perception.
Well,
of the
way I'm reading it. The way I'm reading it is if I'm looking at best draft day trade without the word steal, then I'm going to say the best one out of these was probably Penny Hardaway and Chris Webber because both teams win on this one.
Give it a two-way answer.
I would be starting that one.
When you go third, you have that benefit.
Yeah, and then I would be cutting Scotty and Olden Polynice because, the Bulls got 6 out of it, but the Sonics got screwed, in my opinion. And then you look at Kobe and Vladdy, I think it worked out for both teams. Yeah, it worked out a little more for Kobe, but they were also parts of their career. And Vladdy still ended up with the Kings and Chris Webber down the road.
Let me ask you this. What happened to the Sonics? Can you repeat that?
Which part?
You said the Sonics got screwed, right?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of them getting screwed,
they lost to Pippen in the finals, and
let's go to hold on. Let's go to
So that's why that's why I say it's
Zappy, acknowledge the segue and stop talking.
Yes. All right.
Biggest draft bust. Greg Oden, Sam Bowie, Jordan Hill.
Wow.
Greg Oden, the reason I did that little Seattle delayed, it's on West Coast time. It's okay for the delayed segue. The reason why I did that is because the Portland Trailblazers drafted 2 of these knuckleheads.
Right.
Our beloved New York Knicks contributed to the third leg of this, but at least Steph Curry was off the board already. But we wanted him, and God damn it! Can I say what I want to say?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Don Nelson.
And he wanted to come to New York too.
And Steph's dad did not want him in New York because he was concerned. And then Don Nelson, the fucking douchebag who tried to trade Patrick Ewing behind his back, comes back just to kick us in the testicles one more time. Yeah. He's the Pete Carroll of the Knicks. He was in between Riley and Van Gundy, just like Pete Carroll was in between Parcells and Belichick.
Yeah.
I get that.
So with this one, I'll go first this time since I went last time. I'm going to automatically, while Jordan Hill was, I don't know if he had as much hype as the other two and Sam Bowie and Greg Oden, but based on, Jordan Hill was drafted, number 7 or 8? And we're talking about 2 guys drafted number 1 right here. I'm going to cut Jordan. I'm going to bench Greg Oden. You had KD right there. You had right there. Yeah. You get KD.
And what did you say about the Supersonics again? Can you repeat that one more time? They got screwed, right? Because when you get a generational talent like Idris's buddy Kevin Durant, then the team decides to leave the city.
That's right.
Well, in that part they screwed themselves.
Yeah, but when you're so used to getting screwed, it's just like it becomes natural.
It becomes natural. But and then I'm going to start Sam Bowie because you had Jordan. We're talking about the GOAT in Jordan. You had the opportunity to draft Jordan. There's only one team that can say they had the chance to do it, and they didn't, and that's the Blazers. And they had the chance to draft Kevin Durant, and they didn't. But they did get Scoot Henderson today, so hey, maybe that works out for them. But yeah, that's my list. I'm starting Sam Bowie, I'm benching Greg Oden, and I'm cutting Jordan Hill.
So you mean to tell me that they took Sam Bowie instead of this guy? Fucking idiots. The Portland Trailblazers deserve. Why is Scottie Pippen so mad?
You know why? He's mad because of one name. Oh my gosh.
And let them have a child. I guess I'll go second. I'm gonna go the same order as you went. Who did you have?
I cut Jordan Hill. I started Sam Bowie and I benched Greg Oden.
Yeah, okay.
Fucking Brett can't even contain himself.
I'm going with the same thing. I think Portland. They could have got Clyde Drexler also. They did
get Clyde Drexler.
But can you imagine? Drexler came out before Jordan. But can you imagine if they would have had those two together?
Yeah,
I talked about this with Brett recently on the show.
Portland has a history of drafting players who are injured. Sam Bowie. Don't forget Arvydas Sabonis. His knees were shot.
They were shot. But he was old. Yeah,
he was good.
At least he didn't get stepped on. At least he didn't get stepped on like his son with Draymond.
Right. His knees was shot. They got him. He gave him some game. But Greg Oden, I still think he was about 40 years old when they drafted his ass.
I think so too. I think he fudged a lot of records on his academics there.
And when he was a senior in high school, he looked 40.
He looked about 40. Dude, they already had AARP, man. I think with Greg Oden, God.
But why is
he stay healthy? Then he got drafted. And I don't know who played less games their first couple of years, him or Zion.
Oh, it was definitely probably Oden.
I think Zion might have played 2 more games. Well, I'm just being facetious.
Last thing, why is Scotty so mad? Why?
Scotty about to call into the show.
Yes.
Like, come on in. Call the show,
Scotty. You know, it's crazy, too, because you guys know I was such a huge Scotty fan growing up, and I got my photos with Scotty, but now this. It's like, come on, Scotty.
Scotty is just... Scotty is... If anyone... Scotty...
That's the reason. This is Scotty's song.
Stop it.
Scotty
okay, sorry. Go ahead, guys.
Scotty needs to get his own brand of salt.
I completely agree.
Because this guy is the comment he made, and I know we're going off topic.
Nah, it's okay. We're having fun tonight.
The comment he made about Jordan, saying that y'all seen Mike, he was a horrible player. When was Mike a horrible player?
You're an asshole. Stop it.
When was Mike a horrible player?
I agree, bro.
In high school, I mean, in at UNCA, he wasn't a great player, but the guy was damn good.
Yeah,
he was
wearing his Adidas jumpsuits for free before Nike signed him.
He was a damn good player. He was the only thing that changed him. The only thing that changed Michael Jordan from whatever Scotty called him was Phil Jackson saying, "Look,
yes." And Tex Winter, got to give the shot to Tex Winter too.
I always say Tex Winter was the mastermind behind.
Indeed, implementing the triangle.
Yeah, because without Tex Winter, Phil Jackson won nothing.
Because you got to think, Michael Jordan is a master of the triangle offense, and now his son is. Never mind. Okay, we're gonna.
That is a triangle.
Hey, I'm just gonna declare Brett the winner because I'm getting so much comedy from watching his reactions to
I definitely lost it.
You gotta do it one more time, just for Brett, because this is such a thing of beauty.
I definitely lost.
Here's the guy.
I can see.
Sometimes a loss is big. There's something bigger than winning.
Hey, but you know who was really good at winning? Oh man! Hey guys, sometimes you got to see this other side of us. Oh man, Scottie Pippen wants to be just like Mike. I mean, his son is more like Mike than Scotty is.
His son winning.
And nobody else would take because he didn't want to go in the fucking game. Okay,
he didn't want to go in the game.
All right, we have about 22 minutes left. We're going to hit on our top 10. This is my top 10. I just want to say that this is not the boys speaking for me. They're going to probably rebuttal some of this. But
I don't know if Brett's all right. Hold on. Is he
top 10? I hope so. Top 10 power forwards of all time. We're going to start it up in the Alamo City. Tim Duncan. As I already alluded to earlier in the show, the way he was picked up, similar to what happened today, a little bit of a miracle, a little bit of luck. Tim Duncan, undeniably the greatest power forward in the history of the game, as well as the greatest San Antonio Spur. And that's saying something because that means that he jumps George Gervin. But yeah, Tim Duncan was that dude, the big fundamental. He basically did everything to the T in terms of if you were teaching how to play the game at the earliest level and then cultivate it into what it looks like at the highest level. Tim Duncan was that dude. Little known fact, I'm not going to say little known fact, but something that I think people overlook is that this dude has a better winning percentage than some of his peers. Like, for instance, the Los Angeles Lakers of Kobe and Shaq, they didn't stand up to the winning percentage of Tim Duncan's Spurs. And something that gets really overlooked is that these guys had a better winning percentage than a team led by this guy. Because the Bulls, although they have all those chips, they actually have just a skosh under the winning percentage of the San Antonio Spurs. But what the Bulls do have is an undefeated record in the finals something that the Spurs don't have. Miami fans left. You know the story. Jesus Shuttlesworth hits the shot.
Left. You should have left him in the game.
Yeah, no shit. At number 2, we have another guy that probably wants to be like Mike or at least like Kobe. Karl Malone. Do you agree or disagree? I didn't even ask if you agreed on Duncan. I know we got a universal yes.
I agree with him. Yeah, I agree with him.
You can't. I mean, people are willing to go to battle and die to call Tim Duncan the greatest of all time. If you're going to try to put him in that argument that he's got to be the greatest power forward of all time, it's that simple.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Bretsky, anything to add?
No, I agree.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Karl Malone, number 2. I agree.
I like it.
Yeah, I agree.
We're talking about one of the best scorers of all time, like the mailman, the guy, one of the best fadeaway shots. I
gotta go take my weekly dump on LeBron right now. So LeBron jumped Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the same night that me and Brett saw a brickathon in Amway between the Knicks and the Orlando Magic. Got to see Big Daddy Riddick Bowe.
Oh man!
But this is interesting. Nobody recognized Karl Malone as the incumbent GOAT because he broke, the scoring record at the time.
Now he's down that list because LeBron jumped it.
The point I'm making is when he was number 2, nobody was like, "Oh, he's the incumbent GOAT because he's number 2 in points." Nope. But LeBron breaks Jabbar's record. Who the hell recognized Jabbar as the GOAT unless if you had a basketball acumen that followed his career? Because at the end of the day, Jabbar is number 2 on many people's list. Would that be fair to say?
Yep.
And who do you have him behind?
Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be the guy.
Mike.
All right.
Sing it, Brett.
Number 3.
No, hold on. Stop. I'm not done yet.
Oh, now you want to talk. Okay.
I'm not done yet. I agree with you. He's a he's a 14-time All-Star, number 1. But a lot of people overlook. A lot of people.
Oh my God!
Well, he felt short.
We're gonna lose time here.
He felt short.
A lot of people overlook. He had a 17-year stretch where he averaged 20 points per game. 17-year stretch. Stop.
Carmelo number 2. At 3, we got Charles Barkley. I got Charles Barkley. The boys aren't going to agree here. They already said this off air. Who is your guy that's jumping Charles?
The guy in Dallas.
I'm flipping Dirk.
So all 3 of you disagree with me on this.
Yeah, I'm going
Dirk. I mean, we're talking about Dirk, who is
20 years, one team, man.
20 years, one team. When you look at the grand scheme of things and you look at the overall production, he was a more productive player than Charles Barkley was. When you look at all-time points leader, Dirk is higher on that list than where Chuck is.
This is where I have Dirk, by the way, everyone. This is where I have Chuck. One spot away.
So yeah, I have Dirk as number 3 for mine. Chuck, I don't even have at number 4.
I don't have an issue with you.
Oh wait, no, I have Chuck at 4. I'm sorry.
I don't have an issue with you guys having Dirk where you do. The only reason why I have Chuck higher than Dirk is because the 1993 season, league MVP. When I revisit all of those finals that the Chicago Bulls won, I wholeheartedly believe that the team that Charles Barkley led and the kind of eye to eye, I'm coming at you and you're coming at me, I think Chuck gave the best absolute effort of attempting to defeat, the great Michael Jordan. I think that Chuck
was the Phoenix team.
Yeah, I think they were the most qualified to beat him. It just didn't go their way.
Yeah.
But look at 2011 and a a Dirk Nowitzki and Mavs team.
Like, no, it was amazing what they accomplished.
Like down 0-2, and to be able to come back against one of the
they
best
wasn't even given a
teams.
chance. They weren't given a chance against Miami.
My whole point is, in my opinion, if you guys put Dirk and I put Chuck, to me, I liked both answers. I have no issue with either one.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. To be honest, I agree Karl Malone number 2, but I will put Dirk above him. I'm gonna tell you why. I'll put him because Dirk Malone. Look at that squad Malone had.
Yeah,
Stockton. I can't think of the guys. The other guy.
Yeah, Byron Russell, Jeff Hornacek.
Jeff Hornacek.
Yeah,
Jeff Malone for a little while too. Yeah, no relation.
And I'm not the coaching. I mean, and this is not to take anything away from Karl Malone.
That's true.
When I like to rate people, I like to say, okay, what did you do with what you had?
Right.
And that's why I put Jordan above LeBron. What did you have to get done what you got done? Dirk went against a Miami team. They didn't have a chance.
Yeah, that was a hell of an upset.
They wasn't given a chance to beat them.
J. Kidd, Tyson Chandler. Basically, the Knicks were so motivated off of what the Mavericks did that they waited a couple of years too late to go trade for some of those guys. Because the Knicks had J. Kidd and Chandler.
Yeah,
but
they didn't just beat Miami. They beat Miami's ass.
They broke their spirit in that series. And LeBron, that started his he
quit.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I know that Mark Cuban got pissed with Skip, and I'm not no Skip fan. But when Skip said that LeBron quit, there was some validity to that.
Yeah. So I would put Duncan first, Dirk, Malone, and then Barkley.
I have no issue with the way you guys graded it. Like, for instance, I put 11 in my top 10, and I'm going to explain my rationale real easy and simple. Mm-hmm. This is number 5. Obviously, you know Dirk's 4. I put Giannis and Kevin Durant at 5 for 2 reasons. They are listed at 2 different positions, and their careers are still going on. I put Giannis first because I consider him 5A versus Durant 5B. The reason I say that, Durant has one more championship, and some people consider Durant the best pure scorer in the history of the NBA. But the reason I have Giannis above him is because Giannis's 1 is more impressive than Durant's 2.
I agree.
Because of the teams that Durant joined. I mean, those guys were champions before Durant came in, and you saw that he didn't make the best impact in the locker room because Draymond wanted to – when Draymond punched Poole, he was seeing this guy's face.
I think
the only thing I have with I as much as I agree with Idris and putting Dirk number 2, where I think Karl Malone separated himself from Dirk is Karl Malone did it on the defensive side a lot more than Dirk. And Malone was a 3-time first-team All-NBA player. Yeah. I mean, Dirk never once was All-NBA first, second, or third team. So that's the reason why I have it. When you look at just the offensive set and what he had to do, Dirk was a bit of a –
he was a late bloomer.
He was a late bloomer, but on the defensive side, it was like you put the right big man on him. He might have been a tall 6'11", 7 foot, but the big men could bully him because he did not know how to play defense against the big men. So that's why I would keep Karl Malone at number 2, because when we look at the power forward position, and yes, while the position has evolved a lot, I still think Karl Malone in today's game would be a great power forward because
he would dominate.
Yeah, because he can get you down low and post you up, or he had that 17-foot fadeaway that worked all the time. Well, But like I said, I agree with everything you said about Dirk being ahead of Karl, but that's the one thing is when you look at the grand scheme of things, Karl Malone was a much better defensive player, and that's the only reason why I have him ahead.
Yeah, I've been back and forth with this one between my 3 and 4 spot with Dirk and KG. I have KG in my list. I'm actually going to put KG at number 3.
I like that.
I'm okay with that too.
Just because he has 15 All-Star appearances, 9-time all defensive nominee.
Mm-hmm.
He has a title and he has a season MVP. Granted, Dirk was better at scoring. And there's only there's a small gap in there, but I'm going to take the defensive guy over the scoring guy any day of the week.
You know what they both have in common?
What's that?
They both beat Kobe
Yeah.
within a similar amount of time. So both did. This is why this list, I'll be honest with you guys, I think power forwards are the most subjective, more subjective than the other. Like, these are great points that Brett made, you made.
Like,
you could go a lot of ways with this.
This is the hardest list after number one.
People feared KG when they came into Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Not when he was the T-Wolf. When they came into Boston and you had KG and the truth on the Jumbotron, people feared KG. Like he was
a real Celtic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And the guy just basically won them over on so many levels.
He was fierce. He was fierce. So I'm going KG at number 3. I'm going Dirk at 4.
Nothing wrong with
that was a tough one because
I've been back and forth with that.
And that was the hard one for me, was putting KG 3 or 4. I went back and forth on that one for a while, but ultimately what made me choose Dirk over KG was it came down to the one season where they both won the championship. And if you look at what each player had, Boston was a much deeper team when they won that championship versus the Lakers than what the Mavericks were when they won against the Heat.
Yeah, because Dirk won that Finals MVP title when he won.
Oh, you can't forget about his free throw shooting that year. Yeah,
a lot of people talk about the finals, but the most important series that Dallas won that year was actually against the Lakers.
The Lakers, it was
yeah.
Absolutely
because people forget the Lakers were trying to three-peat.
I have KG as my number 4. And I thought when I revisit everything, it was KG 4, Dirk 3.
Yeah.
And so Brett, you have.
I'm back and forth. I got KG at 3, Dirk at 4.
We're coming up on the 7-minute mark, so I'm going to try to expedite this a little bit. We got
top 5 was
once
the
again. This is no, absolutely. Kevin McHale at 7. He was, in my opinion, the 3rd best player, sometimes the 2nd best player. They took turns on the great 80s Celtics teams that really could have been the team of the decade were it not for the 80s Lakers. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, this man, James Worthy, who I put at number 10. Kevin McHale, his game reminds me a lot of the guy I have right behind him, Dave Debuscherre. I give Debuscherre the edge on
Debuscherre.
I give him the edge on having a little more range than McHale, but I think McHale, when you look at the resume and the winning and the physicality, that's why I have him above him. Dolph Schayes, number 9. Very interesting. The New York Knicks had rights to him, but he made more money playing in a different league, and that's why he ultimately was prolonged. And also from the Qs. Just want to shout them out.
Yep.
These are my honorable mentions before we finish this up. Pau Gasol, Elvin Hayes, Chris Webber, Anthony Davis, Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green, Jerry Lucas, Rasheed Wallace. That's a guy I know somebody wants to argue with me about. LJ, Chris Bosh, Bill Laimbeer. Have at it, Zappy. We got about 6 minutes left. Make sure you save me the last 2.
Gotta make this quick.
I was going to say the range I would do for picks 6 through 10 is I would drop out Debuscherre and I would drop out Debuscherre.
All right, go ahead.
Don't go to New York. They're gonna kill your ass. Kill you.
I'm not French. I'll just be like, hey, I can't speak proper English. Help me out.
Let's go.
I would drop Dolph Schayes and Debuscherre for my boy Rasheed Wallace. I mean, here's the guy, when you talk about a guy that you did not want to face on a day-to-day basis or ever once. Here's a guy that would try to beat you mentally before the tip-off, and he was good at doing it. Yeah. He was the Nate and Nick Diaz of the NBA, let's put it that way. But not only that, he was such a dominant defensive player, but everyone always seemed to forget that he could shoot the three, and he would always make those critical threes.
Good point.
So I love, here's a young guy out of Philly, followed him since his days in high school in Philly, went to North Carolina, but I think Rasheed Wallace is a guy that is underestimated on so many levels, but when you really look at it.
I do respect it because honestly, when I look at all the dudes on this list, there's only two guys that I myself would be like, maybe put him in the top 10. Your guy, Rasheed, for some of the reasons you mentioned. Pau Gasol, because I think people forget he was Kobe's number 2 and he was so damn reliable.
Yeah.
And if Dennis Rodman just had a little more of an offensive game, he'd make my top 10. But because he didn't, that's why I can't put him in.
And I'm putting Elvin Hayes as my other one, man. I thought just the guy was a great power forward altogether. It's I would want to make an argument for Anthony Davis, but because of the last couple seasons and his injury history, he has dropped out of my top 10.
The trajectory for him.
It did, because I'll tell you, when he was coming out of Kentucky, it was amazing, especially watching him beat North Carolina in that championship game single-handedly. And then to get drafted by a Pelicans team who, I mean, it's the Pelicans, let's be real. Or they weren't even the Pelicans at the time. They were the Hornets. But, I mean, just Anthony Davis. What did I say about the Lakers this year? The Lakers will go as far as Anthony Davis takes them. And the guy had the opportunity to be the greatest power forward ever. But in my opinion, he was his own worst enemy.
You know what? You notice how Kentucky players, as great as they are, they cannot stay healthy?
Yeah, that is factual.
Well, when you put it, all into, AD, you put it all into a 32-game season to win a national title, and you don't, and then you forget that in the NBA, there's 4 games just in the regular season alone. These guys are not aware of that.
Yeah.
At number 10, go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Idris, go ahead, dude. That's your top 10.
Oh, I'm basically the same way. I just had Dirk 2, Malone, KG. I think I would take Dolph Schayes out and put Sheed in there.
No problem with that.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
Yeah. The honorable mentions, I would do that. And I agree with Anthony Davis. I think Dennis Rodman, if he had a shot, at least some type of scoring game.
Something.
After Detroit, I would put a high.
The Chicago years was actually, he didn't give a shit anymore about scoring.
And
he let everybody know, too. At number 10, because I kind of skipped over this, James Worthy. One of the most overlooked players, Showtime Lakers. And the best player at North Carolina, to be honest. But, I think that was part of the allure of that shot that beat Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas. Because, Worthy was the guy that everybody expected to get the shot. And that shot was so important on so many levels because it basically not only got a certain person the Nike deal, but it also just changed the trajectory of coming into the NBA after that it was a guards league. And this guy was essentially the birther of that. But James Worthy, just to put it in perspective, when you're on any basketball team with this guy and you are considered the best player on the team, that's saying something.
Yeah. And
it's the shot that in a lot of ways changed the trajectory of the NBA years later.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls defeated Magic Johnson, James Worthy's Los Angeles Lakers. And there's so many things. I think Scottie Pippen did a great job on Magic Johnson defensively, but he just didn't take it over like.
Didn't do it.
Not like that. You don't have the mixtape.
Come on, Brett. Like who? Brett legitimately hates you right now. He's trying to hold that laugh in. Look at him.
No, I gotta finish. Can I finish my 5 through 10?
Yeah, if you do it in 40 seconds or less. For the panel, that's Zappy, that's Idris, that is Bretsky. I am Richie. Kentucky forward Jacob Toppin has agreed on 2 years. We'll come back to that. Thank you, guys.